Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to The Bean Dip, a podcast about gaming with me, James Link, and a couple of amazing co-hosts with me today. Co-hosts with me today, I have Frogster, as you know as Frogster.
Hey guys and girls and everything in between, Frogster1994 back on James's podcast.
For the first time ever.
For the first time ever.
Oh, it's back on my podcast. Wait, I got another podcast that you're on. I have to ask a few questions after this. Also, we're joined just today. You may know Adge from some of my other videos or some of my streams as the Adge, or from a very, very popular TikTok, Misfits FM.
Hi there, I am Adge. This is probably my first time and last time doing this podcast because I am filthy minded.
He is. So the basis of this podcast, guys, is today it's a gaming podcast. We're gonna be talking about gaming stuff that relates to us and our personal preferences. This is our personal opinions, whether you agree, whether you disagree. Pop it down in comments. We can talk about it. But our question for today is, we're gonna be talking about games that we started off playing as kids to what we're now playing as adults. And do you think maybe if we were born in this age, would our gaming change? Like gaming stuff change? Would we feel like we'd be playing something different compared to what you're playing right now because you're an adult compared to what you might be as a kid? So I'll start off. So obviously, as most people know, I'm a big fan of Zelda. It wasn't my very first game that I ever played. The very first game I ever played was on the Nintendo 64, and I don't know if you guys know it. It's called Diddy Kong Racing.
Yep.
Have you ever heard? It was basically Mario Kart before Mario Kart was the thing. Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, that was the first game I remember ever playing. I don't know. Did you guys play anything on the N64?
Oh yeah. I played a few things on the N64. I did play Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, and I do believe I did play Zelda on it as well. But yeah, I don't forget I'm older than you guys, so I go back as far as what's Mega Drive, the Sega Mega Drive being my first console.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, God, sorry, Proctor.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, yeah, I played on like the Mega Drive. It was obviously like a hand-me-down thing from Sony. So although I'm not as old as Adge, yeah, so I certainly Super Nintendo was more my childhood, to be fair.
We've got a couple of years to catch up with Edge. 10, 15.
I mean, I did play the Nintendo. What I can't remember what it was. The grey box one.
Just the Nintendo Entertainment System you were talking about.
Yeah, that's basically. I remember playing that where you used to also have the gun to it and you shot ducks and shit like that.
Funny enough,
I remember playing that as well.
That behind me right now, just the actual whole box with the gun, everything literally behind me, which is crazy. I mean, I have played all of them consoles, but like my first memory of gaming is literally the N64. That was like the first console that in my brain is the one that I can remember physically owning and playing. I definitely remember GoldenEye running around as, especially when you're playing co-op, as the little guy. I can't remember the little guy's name. He might play because he was shorter. It was harder to hit him.
I remember in GoldenEye there used to be a mode. Got a feeling it was called KA mode or something like that. I could be completely wrong. Where the heads were absolutely huge.
That's the thing. Older games, wasn't it? Like they used to have like big head mode.
Big head mode.
Yeah, I think it was just to make it comical and all that, which it worked. It bloody worked. I love playing as it because it just made me laugh, especially as it made the faces look so like, what's the word?
Distorted
and disfigured.
Like the whole 4 polygons that made up the whole character model. It was amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just eyes and okay.
Brilliant.
I mean, I think from going on from obviously Zelda is one of my all-time favorite games. I think I've probably completed Ocarina of Time in the region of like I'm in double digits of completing that game. Is there any games that your guys are like that you could play over and over again? And we're not talking Sea of Thieves here, Edge. That's not.
Oh, contact people. Sea of Thieves is one of my favorite games. Yes. You know what? There's quite a few games I would play over again. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog. was one of my favorites. I mean, actually, come to think about it, Mega Drive probably wasn't my first gaming thing because it was the Nintendo Game Boy that I first probably started off with.
Think about handheld.
Because don't forget, you got your handheld devices as well. And I remember playing games like Galaga on there. I actually had Zelda on there as well.
So if you start talking about Pong, we're gonna.
No, that's before my days, my friend. Before my days.
No, you can just say now.
Sorry, I played on the TV and played a thing where the ball would go left, then right, left.
Just an old man constantly left, right. Go on,
No, Edge is that old. He was back in the day of like the Colosseum. That's what they had. Instead of consoles. Back in my day, we just watched people fight tigers in a Colosseum.
In my days, I just played with an incubus.
I played with a whip and a what's that hoop and a stick, the whip and oh Jesus, God.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nintendo Game Boy was probably my first one, and I remember getting it just before going on a trip, and it was just so it would shut me out for a 9-hour flight. But yeah, just got some really old game, Joust, Galaga. What else? Oh God, there was so many on there I couldn't remember. But yeah, I remember going with the whole Game Boy and then starting with games on there, and then with the Sega Mega Drive, and first game was being Sonic on there. So I've gone through a whole load of different things, going from Mega Drive, well, Sega, Nintendo, PlayStation, and things like that.
I mean, I have so Nintendo obviously a big thing for me as a person because obviously I love Nintendo. But it was the N64. From that, I swapped my N64 with my cousin for a PS1, and I ended up playing Final Fantasy VII for the very first time. But because he already had a memory card and a saved file, he was at a place. So if you've played 7, you'd know, but it's called the Gold Saucer, and basically you go in there, and it's basically a massive arcade inside of Final Fantasy VII. So that's all I used to do. I didn't know that it was a whole story game that you could spend 100 hours, like 200, 300 hours on. You know, I was just like, oh, go in here and play bike game or random chocobo game. I didn't actually play the game for what it was because I just didn't know what I was doing.
So, what would you say, like, on the N64, apart from Zelda now, what was your favorite game on the N64?
Oh, on the N64? Yoshi's Story. I love Yoshi's Story. Don't know why. It's just a nice little Yoshi platformer with loads of different coloured Yoshis. It sticks in my mind a lot in terms of what I used to play on my own.
Yeah.
See, if we're talking about like stuff I used to play with my dad, because obviously my mum didn't really game. My dad used to I say play with me. He used to sit there and watch. It was this, but he just felt because obviously oh no, Star Fox. That's what my dad always used to love watching me play, Fox 64. He was obsessed with that. And then there was one game on the PS1 called Bass Fishing, which we used to play together. But that was just a fishing game. There's nothing else to explain. It's just a fishing game.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yes.
What about?
No. Well, I suppose I was a little bit different. I don't know about yourself, Padge. I grew up with an older brother, so I'm the younger brother, so I'm perpetually the player too, obviously. Me and my bro, we used to play a game on the SNES called Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja. And you play as you play as two little cavemen. One's Joe, he's got green hair. One's called Mac, he's got blue hair. And you basically, it's like a platformer thing. And you attack like dinosaurs and things. And the idea is that there's other tribe. And at the end of the level, you have to go rescue the babes, and they're like these low poly little cave girls. And there's like a redhead one and a blonde one, and the thing is, I believe I may be wrong again. Please, someone correct me, but I think it's whichever player had the highest score or got the last kill on the level boss. That was the babe would come across the screen and kiss your guy, and you'd have like your guy who the caveman. And when you're playing it 2-player, the caveman.
Which one was your favorite babe?
I'm a partial to a brunette, to be fair.
The brunette pixel babe, yeah.
brunette one. And then the
I
other one
vaguely
is
remember that.
you could probably find playthroughs of it, obviously on YouTube and that. But before that, there was an old game on the Sega called Dragon Crystal, which was like a singular, like roguelike thing. But again, obviously sharing the console with a brother, it was predominantly lots of 2-player games, things like Star Fox, F-Zero. That was
F-Zero was
awesome.
good.
The early Mortal Kombat, when it was that like photo thingy bob, it wasn't obviously.
Oh
like,
yes.
the very early Mortal Kombats and like the early Street Fighters and stuff like that. A lot of our games, I'll say, were a lot like 2-player games. Growing up, which was very cool, to be fair. I mean, there's pros and cons, I suppose, of having an older brother.
Yeah, I mean, I used to play a lot with my cousin.
Yeah, I used to play my Sega Mega Drive with my sister, and I remember playing things. Oh God, actually, was Mortal Kombat on the Mega Drive? I can't remember. Was that on?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh God, thing is, I've played so many games with my sister and things like that, and yeah, I kind of lost track of what games is on one console. To be fair.
Yeah, I mean, if I know, I mean, I don't know.
There was one on the Sega Mega Drive, 1982 Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
We can always.
I remember playing it, and I'll tell you one game that I did enjoy playing on Sega Mega Drive, and that was RoboCop versus Terminator. It was actually the first game I played that sort of showed blood, because when
RoboCop versus the Terminator. I didn't even know that was a thing. That awesome.
You play as RoboCop, and you get all these different weapons throughout the game, doing different things, and some of the actual ammo that you shoot out. I remember one that had canisters, it would shoot out, and whichever direction you faced the gun, it would go up and down. And it made it so much easier to kill your enemies. It was so dumb. And you'd first start off by shooting a load of like punks and thieves and rebels, but then eventually you'd have to start fighting bigger robots. So you'd start facing I can't remember what the name of the. If you remember the film RoboCop, there was like the big robots.
Air 209, buddy. Air 209. The big, the dual one. Big cannons on it. Yeah.
So you'd have to start off with doing that. Yeah.
I've actually still got it. Tell you what, James. Next time maybe I'm around, I have a little Mega Drive emulator thing with a cartridge of it. I'll have to show you it. It's a brilliant game.
It's fun.
Yeah,
oh look, yeah, that sounds pretty sweet.
But that was like the first one I remember that actually had blood, because you could make the enemies like explode. And it's the
Yeah, well, blood was a big thing, wasn't it? Like when Mortal Kombat come out, I don't think it was blood at first, wasn't it? It was something else.
No, it wasn't blood at first. You just slapped them, and it was later on with Mortal Kombat that they actually done more visual effects on it.
That was Nintendo stopping it being bloody, because I think it was they didn't want it on their system, because the Nintendo Entertainment System was meant to be a family console.
Yeah.
Quote me if I'm wrong, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm right on this, but I believe it was supposed to be a family console. They didn't want blood and guts, but then they had people beating each other up. Hits and roundabouts,
Believe it. It might have been on the Mega Drive. It was like we had it in the Europe. It was called like Alien Wars or something. It was a Contra clone.
Yeah.
And Contra's like a 2D sort of, again, side-scrollery shootery thing. And to get around European laws, that's why they changed it over to you're like 2 Space Marine looking dudes, and you shoot the aliens. And the aliens it's like, I think it's green blood or blue blood or something, and it's again to get around like censorship laws and stuff for Europe. But obviously the makers of Contra basically wanted to sell it to Europe. It's kind of the funny thing with gaming, obviously, in like probably our life, we're at that age now. We've kind of seen gaming come out of the fringes into like the mainstream, and obviously by virtue of that, gaming has changed quite substantially.
Oh yes,
big time. Yeah, because when I was a kid, gaming was just like it was just a form of like you sit down with family, you play. Now it's there's the esports. There's you've obviously got YouTube now as a thing, so people can share their gameplay footage, which a long time ago, to share your gameplay footage, you have your friend over and they'd sit down and watch. You can't stream it over the internet like we could now.
Yeah, true.
And then you
I
can
think
cheat
what I
off
love about
your
them
brother's
is,
screen, right?
oh yeah, stop screen sharing, stop screen watching.
Stop watching my side of the screen.
Watch my side of the screen. Adge, maybe you had it. Did you ever have to do that at point where you had to like stick a bit of cardboard between you two or something? Like, get for like,
No, I was well behaved.
Do you know what? I do miss just being sitting down on a sofa with your friends and playing games like that. Like,
Yeah,
don't
you
get me
just
wrong, it's not the same now. I know I can play with you guys like easily over the internet, or you could be at your home, like, but it's not the same as sitting next to your friend and slapping their controller out of their hand while they're trying to do stuff, and pressing the buttons.
just winding
and,
one another up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
like I say, I'm not. I'm sorry, go on, Adge.
No, after you.
I was just
Please,
all I was gonna
first.
say was um, I'm not much of a Nintendo fan, but what Nintendo have tried to bring back with the Switch is kind of bringing back kind of like couch co-op.
Yeah.
So long as all of you have got like a Switch and the Joy Cons will come off and all that, yeah, a lot of like the other, like with PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, they're not. You probably still get like split screen games, but I think proper like party games, like you're talking about, I think it's only really Nintendo that are doing it in that sort of way.
But that's
Yeah, there is
Nintendo's
definitely
thing.
something missing.
Yeah. But Nintendo have always been about like party family stuff. They've never been along the lines of, oh, we need the newest Call of Duty to run on Switch. They're like, oh no, we're making a new Mario Party where you and four of your friends can sit down and play basically like a board game with mini games and have fun.
Here's a question for you.
Go on.
So, what can you remember of your very first co-op game, and what game was it?
Ooh. So it would be a co-op. Oh, see, I'm thinking that's not co-op. So cooperative is with my cousin. It was this game on the N64. Again, a lot of stuff I remember is from the N64 because that's what I used to play a lot, especially with my cousin as well. But I can't remember the name of it. It was this game where you was like this tiny little robotic bug, like a computer chip, but you could crawl around and jump onto animals, and you could then control them animals. Or you could control like other animals in the area, and you have to do certain quests in that thing. But I can't remember the name of the game at all. It's completely gone out of my head. I got my phone.
Sounds familiar. I can't remember it, but I yeah. What about yourself, Rockstar? Your very first co-op game?
I think, yeah, I definitely think for me it was, like I said earlier, I think it was Joe and Mac. Again, it was when one of my family members was upgrading from the SNES to something else. We ended up with the SNES, and on it was Joe and Mac. And obviously, like, unlike nowadays where everyone's got like 700 TVs in their house, we only had like one TV in the front room, so it was like, if you want to play it, you got to share it with your brother. And then when the inevitable like sibling rivalries get out of the way, me and my brother used to strategize a bit. We're quite strategic guys, so like you get like a flame one, and that's like good for up high, and then you get like a stone wheel, and that rolls along the bottom of the screen. So for me and my brother, it was a case of, on quite a lot of the missions where you've got like multiple layers, it'd be all right, one of us runs along the floor, clearing the enemies off the floor, and the other one jumps up to like the higher platforms and things. And the thing with the way Joe and Mac works is it's side scrolling, but you share the screen obviously, so you can't you've got to like keep up with the screen, so you have to kind of stick with each other. And that was a lot of fun. And then I believe the early Star Fox version on the SNES was also cooperative. I just remember us playing it quite a lot because me being the Frogstar, I used to like Slippy Toad because he's a little toad dude who needs like the engineer or whatever.
God.
Yeah.
And then, but that was before he went weird in the GameCube, and I don't talk about it, and then it's burnt from my memory.
I don't
And
think
they gave him a
anybody talks
speaking
about
part.
the Star Fox GameCube game. It wasn't a Star Fox game. It was like when he was able to walk around and stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's
that
the
was
same
I
as-
want to say it's like Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
It's the same as that Banjo-Kazooie game where it's kind of like it went really off the rails and became like a racing game, but you still run around or you have to build cars, and I can't remember what it's called. My name's like, but I know it's a Banjo-Kazooie game and everyone hates it. But the game I was talking about earlier was because it's called Space Station Silicon Valley.
Ah.
You look it up. It maybe from the image you might get what it is, but I don't think it was a very popular game. But if we're talking about co-op, the main ones that stick in my mind, again, a lot of the games I played co-operative with my cousin, the same cousin. I won't say names just because in case, but is we used to play a lot of Lord of the Rings games together.
Mm.
I always used to be Legolas. He was Aragorn, and then he would always dibs Frodo, so I had to be Sam, the real hero of the story. Because without Sam, Frodo
Yeah,
would have
Sam is
died
the
many a
goat.
times. Sam is the
Oh.
goat. But it's mainly that. Like I have a lot of fond memories of playing Lord of the Rings, like with him, because it was like so. I got when I was 17, I was hit by a car. Um,
Mm.
Obviously I'm fine, but I had a week off of school. He came over the weekend. Obviously I was off because I was hit by a car. Didn't have to go to school, so it was a Sunday, and his mum come to pick him up, and she was just like, he's going to be bored on his own all week. You might as well take the week off school. So he got to stay with me for the whole week, and we were just playing. It was Lord of the Rings, Dynasty Warriors, and there was another game, but I can't remember it. Oh, I know we played Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. That was a lot of fun as well.
Solid
That's-
choices of games.
Oh mate, I mean the Lord of the Rings game is so much fun. It's on the PS2. If you haven't
Yeah.
played it, give it a shot. Like it's if you play it cooperatively, it's such a fun game. It is really good. Like I think a lot of the PS2 era games and older games are a lot better than what we're getting nowadays. I know the graphics are better nowadays, but I feel like the gameplay was a lot better back in the day. Like
Don't get me wrong about games. Like with graphics out there, they're brilliant these days. But sometimes it's the fact that it's not the graphics we need; it's the storylines.
yeah,
Mm.
that's what I mean. I want to get invested in a story, and you know I want to care about the characters, and it's not like oh well this character's in 4K and you know I can see his the hair on his chin. And I don't really care about the hair on his chin because I ain't going to be looking at that, you know. I was going to say
I'm-
something dirty, but I stopped myself.
I mean, one of my favorite games, which has a brilliant storyline, and it's also because I'm a comic fan and a DC fan, was Batman Arkham Asylum. I mean, I could play that for hours and hours because, yeah, it had puzzles in it and things like that, but it was the story itself that drove me to play it because where I was such a big fan of like Batman and the Joker and the missions and things like that. And
Mm.
it was just the rivalry of that. And because of the storyline, that made me play it more and more and more. And nearly to the point that I did complete it 100%, which is probably the first game I did complete 100%. But yeah, without a good storyline, okay, there are some games out there that you could just waste your time with, but without a good storyline, I sometimes feel like it's not worth playing.
100%.
No, funny.
Go on, sorry for
I was just going to add to obviously like in recent gaming news. Obviously, we had the Space Marine 2 game, and that was fantastically popular because the character. I mean, the Warhammer. I'm a huge 40k fan, but it's also the storyline is interesting. But the actual, if you notice, the mechanics of the game are very. It's just like an over-the-shoulder shooter type thing. It's not very complicated. It's not got like hundreds of whatever. It's not. It's a very simplistic game. And for the most part, I think it's fairly linear. But solely because it's got like, everything you want from it. Like it's focused on a lot of like making a Space Marine feel real. And I've been saying this for a while. Like I sometimes jump in when Shivy's streaming certain games. I feel like certain games are not made with the same like passion as like the PS2 era. It was very experimental. The PS2 era, like earlier, like pre that. You're talking a lot of it was limited by its like technology, but on the PS2 and that era when like the 3D games started coming out, if you notice, there was like this huge like they were experimenting with all different. There's like more dead franchises in the PS2 era than there are like nowadays because people were trying things out.
Yeah.
there was a lot of
I,
gems in
I,
the PS2.
Oh, 100%. There was like so many. I think it was like PS2 and, if I'm not mistaken, the Xbox 360 again was another one where they have like just the sheer amount of games that were released on those systems. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. And again, I think because with the 360, that era came out, and yeah, I think it's because they were experimenting with things. Nowadays, they want to kind of stick to, oh no, this formula works, so we're just gonna stick to that, and they don't like experimenting.
Yeah.
I think that's what's wrong with modern gaming.
I mean, going back to PS2, I remember like they experimented so much. There was a game, and this is an actual game. I've never been able to find it, but I swear it was an actual game where you go around with a guy and he has a hand on his head, like a big hand, and the enemies are ladies with massive tits that you have to pop. And that is not even a joke. And I can't remember. Again, I'm terrible with remembering names, but I really want to find it. But I swear it's an actual game. Like, it's such a weird game. But I remember playing that because obviously I was a kid. And it's like, oh, boobies.
Wait, you say it was a PS2 game? Did you say
Yeah,
a hand on?
the hand on his head. Stretch Panic. Stretch Panic. I found it. It's an actual game. Look up Stretch Panic on your phone or something right now, right? And you're this little guy with a hand, just long hands attached to his body, and you literally go around popping giant boobs. And it's not even a joke. And it's so bloody funny. Like,
Yep, that is a thing that exists.
I kind of want to play this now.
it's like, gotta play this now.
That is a thing.
There is a booby. Let's pop it. Poppity pop.
Oh, good lord.
Are there any like weird and wonderful games that you remember that you think are like not well known, that you remember very well?
I can't remember what system I played it on, but I do remember playing Serious Sam. That's probably quite noticeable. I just remember it freaked me. It was certainly a very strange game. Like, you have the bit where the guys have got no heads, but they're running at you with two bombs strapped, and they're just and they come out of nowhere, and they're quite terrifying, and they just explode. I might have played it on the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. It is certainly That was probably
possibly
one of the weirder ones. It was definitely one of the weirder ones I played.
I can't think. I know I've played weird games, but none that just popped to my mind.
That's the thing. I mean, I haven't thought about that some of these games for a while. Until you sit down and really think, it's not like stuff that like floats in your mind, because there is a lot of PS2 games that are so good that a lot of people don't know about.
I used to like a lot of the tie-in games because that was sort of like, that was a big thing of that era. Like, you had the Matrix ones, and I think there was a 50 Cent release one on the PS2.
Oh, wasn't that the 50 Cent? Oh, it was like a brawler beat 'em up game, wasn't it?
I believe so. I do remember them from that era. Like I said, playing I believe it was the Matrix games on the PS2. Showing my age of how senile I am. Oh yeah, it was Enter the Matrix. That's the one where you play as Naomi and I can't remember the guy. They're two slight.
Morpheus.
No, he's I believe he's like he's like an Asian looking guy. I can't remember his name. He's like a bit part in the movies. And then you've also had Matrix Path of Neo.
Yeah.
Which
I remember those coming out.
There's a lot of movie games though, wasn't there? There's a lot of like, I think, there's a lot of, I don't know, there was so much movie stuff that I think you could pinpoint that there's probably like every action film had a knockoff or like just a really bad video game that came with it. Some of them are good, like Lord of the Rings, for instance. That's the only good video game from a film I can think of right now.
GoldenEye, come on.
Oh, yeah, but that's okay. GoldenEye, okay. I take that.
I mean, they also on the N64 they did bring out also Mission Impossible, which came from the films.
Oh. I mean,
Which
Superman 64 came on the N64 as well, but that's the worst, one of the worst games, I think, on the N64.
Superman 64. What the?
You haven't heard of Superman 64? Oh,
No, I'm looking it up now.
YouTube it. Apparently, it was supposed to. It's classed as one of the worst N64 games on the N64.
Yeah. So funny enough, I was just looking. Oh yeah, that was on the PS2 as well. I was just whilst we were sitting there, I was just typing in like the PS2 movie tie-in games, and some of these I do remember actually owning.
Oh yeah.
There's a Harry Potter one, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Oh yeah, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I love the Harry Potter games.
There was the King Kong, the
Oh,
Peter Jackson King Kong film on the PS2. Sorry, the PS2 King Kong. Yeah, I know what I meant. There's Futurama. Yeah, Craig, I'm just literally looking through the list of this. Like, you just look these up on the internet.
yes, I'm just
Blade.
doing now.
I think Blade had a movie tie-in.
Yeah,
and
there was.
2 Lord of the Rings ones they made. Constantine, of all
Oh
things.
my god. I know they made a very bad Chocolate and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory PS2 game, but it was based off the Johnny Depp version, not the
God, which kind of shows how old that film is, which is like crikey.
yeah.
There's The Punisher. That was actually quite a good one on the PS2. That one's quite brutal, actually.
I can imagine that one being brutal. I've not played it, but I can imagine it being brutal.
Yeah, I remember playing that quite fondly. I'm a big fan of The Punisher. But how The Punisher PS2 game works is, I believe it's a combination of like a tie-in to the film, the Thomas Jane film, as well as like some bits from the comic. But you can like interrogate people, and there's like interactable environmental things. Like I remember quite distinctly, there's one of them which I think is like a drill press machine. Like it's a big drill thing that you have like a big wheel, and you obviously you want to have the drill close to the guy's head, and obviously then he like breaks and gives you the information, and then it's up to you if you can let him go, kill him, or you then just just drive it into his head and he dies. And then another one I believe is a car crusher, where you like hold the guy by his ankles over the edge of the thing, and he's like, "Oh, I'll give you the information." Then again, you can just like drop him in the car crusher. Because he's the Punisher, that's kind of his thing.
Games didn't hold back then, did they? Like it was just could be quite brutal. The thing that I did like about the PS2 era is that they did do a lot of creative stuff. Like they had that card game where you placed the mat, like it was you had real cards, and you had a mat, and it had like a little device attached to the mat, and on the top of it had a camera facing down at the mat, and as you placed the cards on the mat, it would bring them up in the game. It was actually Monkey Mutt that showed me someone was getting rid of it recently, and I was like, oh, that would have been so cool to like replay again. But then they had the iToy camera. That's when they were testing out. I don't know if you remember the game where you had to clean windows, and it's like, when I'm cleaning windows.
Yeah, I remember playing that. I think my favorite one was the one with the discs where you had to put your hands in the particular areas where the discs were flying.
Yeah. Oh mate, they did so much stuff, and it's such a shame that they're not as like they don't try as much. It just feels like remake after remake nowadays, and I don't want remakes. In my personal, there'll probably be a lot of people that disagree with me. They like remakes of old games they liked, but for me, it's like I just want some new stuff that's gonna grab my I love Zelda. I hate the new Zelda games. For a valid reason is I like the fact that you're on this adventure, you go to search for different dungeons, you get weapons as you go into each dungeon that allows you to progress further into the world, and then you get to further dungeons, and then you fight the final boss. Now it's like you're in the world, okay, just go wherever you want. There's no dungeons, there's little tiny puzzles here and there. Well, there's like 400 of them in the world. And I think that again, a lot of people will disagree with me that like the new Zelda games. But for me, it's like, I'm not a big fan. And it's
just open to opinion, really, isn't it? I've watched someone called the Pun Hit Wonder play different Zelda games, and they're interesting to watch, but I can see where you're coming from. It feels a bit boringish. I mean, there's one where you get in a boat and you sail to another part of the map, then to another part, and it's just little puzzles.
That's Wind Waker. You insult Wind Waker. That's one of my favorites. That is got all of the dungeons. So I see what you mean.
Bored watching someone. I got bored watching people do that one because
it depends on how you play Wind Waker. So with Wind Waker, you can spend a lot of time sailing from like part of the map to part of the map to part of the map. If you're focused on story, you're sailing like you're probably sailing about 10-15 seconds then you're about 45 minutes to an hour of doing something. Then you might move on to a next bit where you spend about 2 hours. So you're not really spending a lot of time sailing, but a lot of people like to uncover the whole map. So they sail around the whole map to uncover a lot of stuff to 100%. Because I've 100%ed that one. I've 100%ed Twilight Princess. Because Twilight Princess is my main favourite. It was the one on the Wii. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
I know of it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah. Didn't think Zelda was your thing. But that's... I mean, I guess it would, like you said, it's all down to preference. Like, so a lot of people love the new Zelda games. Me?
Yeah.
I've played the first one on the Switch, which was Breath of the Wild, and I 100%ed the game because it was Zelda and I wanted to beat it, and I spent a lot of time on it. And again, I had fun playing the game. It's a good game, but I didn't feel like I was playing Zelda. That was my issue. And again, that's my personal issue. Like, again, other people may disagree. I still think it's a good game. I feel like I need that sort of structure going through a game where you make progress by completing certain tasks and then you can get to somewhere else. Whereas, like, when you've got a whole world and you can just go wherever you want at whatever time. Like you say, like, I guess like Skyrim. Skyrim's a massive open world game. Technically, you can go wherever you want in that game. It doesn't matter. You can just wander off and just explore. And that's the game. But it also has the structure. You can go to this first town, do the quest, which will send you to the next place, which, you have a borderline story there. But in Skyrim, I didn't, that's a completely different, like, another ball game. That's such a good game. Where I feel like you're meant to get lost in that game. I mean, you'd probably know more about Skyrim than me, Frogstar, because you play it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. The same as, well, I mean, I can go back before that. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. That was my first foray into Bethesda games. And yeah, they are structured, like you say. There's like quest lines, there's guilds, there's factions. But I do believe most of what ironically, although I've played a lot of Skyrim, I've preferred the world of Oblivion. I preferred exploring Cyrodiil. It feels a lot bigger. It could just be a perception thing. But I felt like I actually encountered a lot more playing Oblivion. Just like little caves and little dungeons, little story bits. Because the game encourages you to wander off the beaten path. Because that's how you explore things. That's how you find like the Daedra quests and all that. Well, I was just going to sort of jump on your point you said about you don't want to see remakes, etc. Ironically, I made the point earlier. When people do try and experiment too much, games that are a bit too far out there don't do well. They unfortunately die on the development table. Or people are like, I'm not ready for that kind of game. Anyone who's really into their like video game history could tell you any number of franchises that died, unfortunately, after like the first game because they were a bit too experimental or whatever. Unfortunately, they playing devil's advocate a little bit. When you're a big company and you're like, oh, we could endlessly resell you a remake of, say, for example, Zelda. Or like Pokemon or whatever. Look at how many remasters of Skyrim there is because people will buy it. Unfortunately,
Yes,
I think my introduction to Skyrim was Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the Elder Scrolls Online. The only thing I don't like about the Elder Scrolls Online is very there's too much to do. Like, don't get me wrong, there's not a problem in a game, but I get a little bit overwhelmed. Like, I remember when me and you was playing Edge, because we was playing it together on stream once, and we went into one town. I think, what did we have, like 40 or 50 quests from like...
Oh, I think what's really annoying is that you want to play together, but if you unless you're the same race and same sort of whatever, can't do this game properly together because you end up going to separate locations. And that's what happened to us when we were playing it. We ended up going to different locations. And it was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. I don't like that. If it's a co-op game or if it's an online MMO, you should be able to. Again, my opinion, you should be able to play with your friends, and you should. So it's like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft do it really well. Like if I get a quest, and I'm in a party with AJ or with you, for example, it'd be like, oh, these guys don't have this quest. I can share it with you so you get it, and then we can continue on. And then if you get a quest that I don't get, we can share it and move on. The only thing with World of Warcraft is you don't start together. You'll always start in a different place depending on your race. So if we all picked orcs, we'd all start in the same place. But if we all if you decided to be an orc and I decided to be a human, we wouldn't be able to play together because that's Horde and Alliance. But but yeah, if you pick an orc, I pick a troll, or if you pick a human and I pick a dark knight, you can start in the same area as different classes and still progress through the game.
So, getting back onto Zelda. Now, not sure if this is true, but I've heard they're actually gonna bring out a game where you actually play it as Zelda. For those who don't know much about Legend of Zelda, Zelda is the princess, not the main character. That's Link.
That game is already out.
It's already out.
That game is on the Switch. Yes, you play as Zelda. And her ability is she can sort of manipulate stuff. So she can look at a table and then she can create that table with her wand. So you use objects to get over obstacles, and you use monsters that you've met during battle to fight for you. She doesn't actually physically fight. I mean, you could drop a table on someone's head.
Do I assume that you've already played this, or you are playing it, or is it just gameplay that you've seen?
I played it with Shivy because Shivy bought it when it came out, and I played it for about. I say we played it together for about an hour, maybe 2, and then I kind of lost a bit of interest. The game's good from what I can tell. It's got really great reviews, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's not because of Zelda. I like Zelda as a character. I think she could stop getting kidnapped all the time or whatever. That'd be good. But
I mean, that's sort of stealing Princess Peach, isn't it? That sort of thing, isn't it?
You ever said that meme I see? There's a meme of Princess Peach and Bowser standing on a balcony and she's having a smoke and he's like, so when are you going to stop pretending to get kidnapped?
Oh, crikey,
damn.
I think my favourite meme is where it's got a picture of Peach and Bowser in bed, but Bowser's actually not a guy that's in a costume and in the costume on the side.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh, crikey.
We'll move on. Unless you got anything else to add, we can move on to another thing I've got lined up.
Yeah, move on to the next item on the itinerary.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Obviously, with all the new stuff coming out or being announced, is there anything that you're looking forward to in 2025 that's coming out, or that you know about, or that you're interested in?
I actually haven't been looking at games that are on its way to coming out or anything like that. I've just been doing my own little thing in my own little world and just playing my own little games that I have no idea what is actually on the rise.
Well, I know the so as they're recording this, the Switch 2 was announced. That was announced today, which it just looks like a bigger Switch, from what I can tell. But again, we haven't got much information on it. There's going to be I think it's on the 2nd of August. No, 2nd of April. Sorry, we're getting a Nintendo update, a big event. But I'm not sure because honestly, I'm looking forward to Pokemon Z, so Legends Z. So if you know of Legends Arceus, I don't know if you remember watching me play that at some point, Edge. I know you've probably watched me stream it.
I've lost track of what Pokemon games you've played there, buddy. To be fair, you've been playing so many, they sort of merge into one for me.
So, what Pokemon games have you played? Yes, just all of them.
And I'm the filthy outlier, and I goes, oh, I know Pikachu, and then gears grinding because I haven't played a Pokemon game or been into the Pokemon scene since like Gold, Silver, and Crystal, I think it is, on the Game Boy Color. So that's like how way back I am. I don't even know why. I just never really stuck with them. I enjoy, like I say, I spent many, like thousands of hours in, say, the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and like those exploring games. I just don't know why. I mean, I even played the earlier Final Fantasies when it was like a turn-based, like fighter. I don't know, we'd call it like an action RPG type thing. And I don't know why playing Pokemon never sat with me, and I don't know why. I couldn't put it down to any particular thing. I don't. It's something I should like. Oh, I could get into it, and now there's like 700 of them. Like, where do I start?
Yeah, there's so many Pokemon nowadays. But like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, I think, like you said, Final Fantasy is a good sort of good RPG to talk about because like I enjoyed Final Fantasy throughout the years, and a lot of people hated on 15. 15 was actually one of them I platinumed on the PS5. Four, not 5. Didn't have to. Wasn't on 5. But that was I've always loved Final Fantasy. I dropped off a little bit after 10, so I played Final Fantasy 10 and then 10-2 come out, and I was just like Yuna and Pain and Riku all just swapping costumes and dressing up in different things. At that time it just wasn't of interest to me, and then from then on it wasn't until 15 that I got back into Final Fantasy. So are you excited for any new games coming out this year then, Frogster? What do you know of
Not
anything?
not so much new games. It's mainly games because obviously I split my hobby allowances between computer games and obviously collecting miniatures and stuff. So I was a bit behind on like Baldur's Gate. I didn't buy Baldur's Gate till early, like very very late last year, like November December time. Space Marine 2, like some of these I already know. Like the gaming community is probably miles ahead of me. Just through like budgetary concerns, I never never picked them up.
Yeah.
Maybe around sort of January time, Steam and stuff might have you some sales. I'll pick them up. I'm probably looking forward to doing them. Monkey and his brother Hino, obviously they were playing that Drive Beyond Horizons demo that is very bizarre, weird little indie game on Steam.
I played that today. It's
So-
actually quite fun.
I'm also looking
Ew.
forward to maybe playing Speed Freaks because I believe it went into alpha,
Oh, that's
beta, thing.
yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
it's
out now and it's free to play.
Yeah,
I tell you
yeah.
what, I'm just looking at a list of games to be coming out this year, and one in March, Assassin's Creed Shadow.
Oh, no,
Got like, yeah, this one looks like it's got like samurais and ninjas. So this one looks quite interesting.
oh, isn't that the one where there was a lot of controversy about it because they had the samurai and it was they made the samurai like a black guy and it's like, oh, but that's all wrong. It's like it's a game, man. Stop worrying about it. Just play the game and enjoy it.
No idea. So far, the samurai looks like it's just all in its samurai gear, including the mask. There we go. There's a picture. I mean, as you say, it's just a game. It doesn't really matter. Like,
I
I'm
think
sorry,
I can
but
interject a little bit.
go
Sorry,
on.
I believe he's based off of a real. So there was a black samurai. I believe, I'm like probably misremembering. It was an actual real. He is like with Assassin's Creed. They sometimes take like a real character, didn't they, and
Yeah,
put their like fantasy spin on it. I believe he's like a real. Well, I know he's a real guy. I believe he's like an escaped slave or something. He's then washed up on Japan shores, and then he has a black samurai. They're featuring him as a prominent character. I believe that's, and then obviously the
Yeah.
world political tensions have caused it, and culture war. We won't go into all that. This is not the place for that. But I
no,
believe
we're
that's
just talking
what's
about
caused
games. Yeah,
controversy. Yeah. I believe that is why he is a real guy. Like with any of them, where you meet, what was it? Was it you meet in the early ones when it's still based in Italy? Didn't you meet? Was it you meet Galileo or one of the other actual like inventors?
yeah. I think you meet like
Or was
the
it
painters as well,
Da
like
Vinci?
Michelangelo and Da Vinci
Yeah.
and Leonardo
That's it, sorry,
DiCaprio. Not DiCaprio. Sorry,
Leonardo da Vinci.
Da
Yeah.
Vinci. No, yeah. Do you remember that really old Assassin's Creed game where you go back in time to meet Leonardo DiCaprio? Just do you join him on the
You say-
Titanic?
Yeah. Just about the Titanic. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was something like,
That's
obviously,
how
yeah.
the Titanic went down.
It was the assassins all along. It wasn't nothing to do with the iceberg. The assassin
gotta
was
tell
the
them.
iceberg.
Look beyond the reality, sheeple. Like it's the Assassin's Order. The whole thing's real.
No. The icebergs was the name of the assassins.
That's it.
There
Someone
we
needs to
go.
make that. Someone needs to make a game where an assassin on the Titanic and your mission is your ultimate mission is to take out the Titanic while it's in a specific location. You can't take it out too early, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. And it's just like, nah.
Oh, good lord.
God, if someone made that, I'd play the shit out of it. Like,
100%. But yeah, like I say, I'm a little bit behind on like the newest games that always come out, because budgetary concerns.
don't we all
Because I
realize that,
also-
buddy?
Oh, I'm well aware of
Interesting.
that, but I mean, obviously, I also then split like we all want to be sensible with hobbies and stuff, but I also then have to split that down the middle again. Being a miniature model enthusiast, I definitely do want to give. I will admit, whoever the various developers that are working with the like Warhammer and Games Workshop as a company, I am looking forward to what they're going to do more of.
Yeah.
Space Marine 2 has been phenomenally popular, and Warhammer obviously have their like Warhammer TV streaming servicey thing, and the animation quality on some of there is amazing. It would not surprise me if we see a lot more like Warhammer games coming out, and the inner child in me would just be like, it would be so cool if we see more of it in the medium of video, computer games, whatever. Interactive
seems as-
entertainment.
Seems looking at this list of games I'm seeing, there's a lot of reboots. I mean, they're rebooting Fable. If any of you
What?
do remember
I love
it.
Fable. Fable is amazing. 1, 2, and 3. The Fable that came on the Kinect, we don't talk about. But Fable, what, they're remaking the original.
From the looks of it, yeah. Hang on. It's going to be available on PC.
Game Pass.
I will send you the link now so you can have a quick gander.
Here's me moaning earlier about reboots and like, oh, Fable, they're going to remake it. Oh yeah, I really want to play that.
And no offense, no, you're part of the problem, mate.
I'm the biggest part of the problem.
Right, I've just sent you the link over for Fable, and it's supposed to be coming out. But I can't even see when it's supposed to come out. But it looks like it's just a reboot. It's supposed to come out this year.
Oh no, it's Fable 4. No, that's the new Fable game. Yeah, that's the new one. There's a new game coming out, and it's got the So you know.
Oh yeah, Fable 4. My bad.
Yeah, you know the guy from the IT crowd or the IT crowd. The hello guys. I can't remember. His name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually like a character in the Fable series. Like he's actually himself, which is not himself, but he looks like him in the game. He's like the narrator. That's the word I was looking for.
Richard, I'm going to mispronounce that. Aode?
I think so.
He's the guy with glasses, mixed race fella.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering his surname. My apologies.
Yeah, he's supposed to be. Fable 4 is a game I'm looking forward to this year. Then, if that's coming out this year, that's something I will be playing.
I misread it saying 4. I just saw reboot, and I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Where's the word reboot? I'm looking at this link. There's no reboot. I'll put a link to this in the description.
Right, so where it's got what to expect from Fable 4 in 2025. Underneath that, it's just where it's got Playground Games Fable reboot in
okay.
list.
So that's where you didn't look at the big white bold text that says Fable 4. You looked at the tiny little reboot word at the very bottom of the last text.
Dyslexic. My dyslexic brain doesn't put things in the right order.
He does not like it. Stop bullying Ad.
I don't like it.
It's like the famous Morecambe and Wise character. I played all the right notes, just not necessarily in the right order. My brain works the same way whilst reading.
Yeah.
Fable 4, that'd be good. Yeah,
I quite enjoyed Fable.
It's fun. Fable 3 was a lot of fun because it was co-op.
I can't remember Fable 3. I think I have only played Fable 2. I think I may have played the first one and the second one, but I don't remember playing the third one.
The first game, you start off as a kid and your sister gets kidnapped and your parents get killed.
Yep, remember that.
The second one, you start off in a village, like a little town, with your sister. She gets kidnapped, and then you're on an adventure to save her. I think I might be mixing them two up, but I know the third one, you're the prince, You becoming
Yeah,
the
your
king.
younger sibling.
I do have a
Yeah.
question. Is there
Yeah.
a game where you're the main female character and your brother gets kidnapped? Because it always seems to be the female characters being kidnapped.
That's a good question. Does anybody knows about that? Let us know. Let us know.
Leave it in the comments. Leave it in the comments or the just Haley Abuse at James on the various social media platforms. Just do that.
Yeah,
Don't
just,
actually
we'll figure it out.
legally
Yeah.
legally don't do that.
That was just a joke. Yeah, no, like I actually don't know where you play as the female and you're trying to save a male character. That's actually a good question. Damn, Edge.
Do you know the one that I can think of where you're not? It's not like a brother or anything. The one where you are a female lead and you're trying to save a male. It's Lollipop Chainsaw of all games because you have your boyfriend's head strapped to your hip the whole game.
Yes.
And it's the ironic. It's like quite the biggest subversion because although she's playing as like a cheerleader and it's supposed to be she's like a blonde bimbo or whatever, she single-handedly like stops the apocalypse if I remember rightly.
Lollipop
So
Chainsaw was one I forgot about.
It was one of those bizarre games of like it's like a weird subversion because she's if I remember from playing it, it's one of those weird games you play once and you're like, why did I actually play this? It's one of those really bizarre games because it's like she's actually quite a subversion. She's a strong female. She doesn't rely on a man. Her boyfriend is literally like a severed head. I think that like sits on her hip for the whole game.
What about Bayonetta? I don't know what. I know she's a strong female lead character in the game, but I don't know. I've never played it myself. I've watched Monkey Mock play it a little bit because I know that she's at the beginning. Like the battle music is "Fly Me to the Moon," and
Isn't that the game where the lass has also got guns in her shoes as well?
Yes, she's got guns in her shoes.
I think I've got that somewhere. I think I've played it, and I was like, what the fuck am I playing? This is awesome.
You know what? I do have a weird recollection, Edge, of you playing a game with Jack Black where he has a guitar.
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend.
I love that game. I love it. It's got such a silly story, but it's not just got Jack Black in there. It's got other people in there. It's got Tim Curry in it, and then it's also got
doesn't Ozzy Osbourne? He's like your mechanic.
Oh yeah, you've got Ozzy Osbourne in there. God, what was the lead singer from? Oh, my brain is not working. It had a lot of lead singers from different bands in there as well.
I think it was Jack Black's game, wasn't it? He was working alongside, and he got people working with it.
Oh yeah, Lemmy. That's it, Lemmy. Yeah. It had Lemmy in it as well.
Red.
That's it. But it was basically a little story about him as a roadie, and somehow he had demon blood in him, or he was like the son of a devil or something, and he could get all these powers going through the game. It was such a bizarre game. I'm gonna have to play it again. I'm going to.
Go look out for AJ's stream where he plays Brutal Legend.
If I remember right, it's kind of like Jack Black's homage to all things rock and metal and all that. It's like because him being in Tenacious D and that, and it's a game. It's quite a fun game from where I remember playing it a couple of times. It is kind of one of those that doesn't take itself very seriously, but it's a great game.
Oh no,
it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, but there's some games that are always like that don't take themselves seriously. They're just meant to be for the shits and giggles. I mean, have you ever played Leisure Shoot Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is that all about?
Such a weird game.
Very bizarre. Very bizarre. It's sort of a bit of a tangent. My little input of games I am looking forward to this year. Sniper Elite. There's a new Sniper Elite out. That's a game I've played for donkeys. The franchise. Dropped off a few times, but yeah, I want to say like Sniper Elite 2 on the PS2. And there's a new one coming out this year because it's a little British developer called Rebellion. It's very cool.
Huh.
It's a snipery game. It's basically World War II. You do snipery things. It has this mechanic in it where it goes all like slow mo and it goes into X-ray. So as the bullet, if you get a really good shot, you pop a guy in the eye or something. It's quite a graphic depiction of his eye blowing out or whatever. And one of them
Does any of you two remember Double Dragon?
Double Dragon.
I know of it. I don't remember playing it.
Right. I remember playing it. Sorry to butt in there, Fox. I do apologize.
That's
No,
right.
it's just I've just seen it's a release that's going to be a revive, Double Dragon Revive. Be available on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, the XSX, and that'll be coming out in October. Now, Double Dragon was actually quite an interesting game on both the Nintendo Game Boy as well as on Mega Drive. It was really fast, martial arts game. But yeah, that was a good one. And there was actually a cartoon series of it as well. That was quite interesting. Sorry, back to you there, Fox. I do apologize.
No, that was all. No, I was just being all. This is like the theme of this one is like nostalgia. I'm just having nostalgic thoughts of playing Sniper Elite. That was all.
I mean,
So,
I'm looking forward to Monster Hunter Wilds. That's coming out this year.
Yeah, so yeah, actually might be quite more content for your podcast there, James.
apparently, for those who like survival games, Ark 2.
Ark 2.
Yeah.
Also, there's supposed to be a new Doom coming out this year.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love
Yep.
Doom.
Yeah, or the Outer Worlds 2 you might like, Foxer.
Borderlands
Didn't realise
4.
they were making sequels.
Borderlands 4. Little Nightmares 3 is a game
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to.
I
I'm
have
literally looking
still
at a
not
list.
played the first and second one, but I've seen
Mate.
other people play it and it looks like fun.
They are so good. There's a new Elden Ring coming this year, which is supposed to be Night Rain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just actually looking for a list right now to see what we might be interested in. Date Everything. That sounds like a game that you'd like, Edge. That was a joke, by the way. He doesn't like that kind of games.
I'm very looking forward to this one called Dave the Diver. I'm
Dave the
joking.
Diver's a banging game. Don't you dare insult Dave the Diver. That's an amazing game. I mean, Professor Layton and the New World of Steam is coming out, and I'm hoping that's going to be a Switch game because I really like Professor Layton. That's a really good.
I'm trying to find any games that are kind of puzzly. I like puzzle games.
Yeah, that is Professor Layton is a puzzle game. Professor Layton
Oh,
is just a pure puzzle game. So the idea behind Professor Layton is you're like an investigator, but you go through and you have to solve like mini puzzles to unlock quests and so on. Look it up. It was mainly on the DS, but it is a lot of fun. Honestly, Edge, I think you'd enjoy it. You don't have a Switch, do you?
I don't. Professor what?
Professor Layton. You would enjoy. I think if you like puzzle games. Also on Epic right now, this is on the 16th of the 1st we're recording this. There is a new puzzle game that's just been given out for free. So that looks pretty interesting as well.
There is a
Puzzle
game
Academy.
that's been released. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to trying
Something
it out.
Escape.
Yeah, no, it's called Puzzle Academy.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
I thought it was Escape Academy.
it might be Escape Academy. It could be one of the other. I think it's Escape Academy actually. Now that you say it, sounds more correct.
Escape Academy, yes. That's been out for a little while actually.
It's been out for ages. It's just free on Epic right now.
Yeah, I know. I had it on my wish list on Steam for ages, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Yes, thank you."
It's a good thing we have it set on the Discord. It's like, ding. You're like, oh, free games. Oh yeah, okay, I download that.
Free stuff!
Free
Yay!
stuff. Yeah, everyone loves free stuff.
I am so gutted. I missed a lot of the games during the Christmas period because I was away at my missus's. I wanted the Sifu, which I didn't manage to get.
Best thing to do is download, not download. So log in, be able to log in on your phone, and what you can do is add them to your account while you're away.
See, the problem is I do that, but it keeps logging me off on my phone. So I sort of gave up trying to log in via my phone.
Well, anyway, that's
That's a
what
me
we're
problem.
looking forward to in 2025. But what we'll do is we'll wrap that up for today because I think we've been rambling on for quite a while, and this is obviously just the first podcast. So
Only an hour?
only an hour. But guys,
Let's have a
thank you so
ramble.
much for joining me today. I really appreciate having you both here. And thank you to whoever is listening. If you do want to know anything about like our gaming taste or questions that you do have for any of us, leave them in the comments either on YouTube, they'll be on TikTok, and it'll be on Spotify. You can leave comments in all three places. Let us know if you want to, any of our opinions. You can check out Frogstar on TikTok and Instagram.
Yep.
He is
It will be
Frogster.
at Frogster1994.
Oh, well, I was waiting for more then. He doesn't make.
Oh,
he doesn't.
yeah. I'm
He's
not a full. I'll jump in. I'm gonna hijack your podcast. I'm not a full-time like content creator. It's mainly me doing things at work, and like making things. Like I say, I'm more like into like miniature building and stuff. So there's a few videos on like Instagram and TikTok. That's my New Year's resolution is to do a little bit more content on there. But yeah, check us out. Say hi. I sometimes hijack yours and like Shivvy's streams when you guys are streaming on your various platforms. I'm around.
Look for Frogster. I'll put some links in the descriptions below anyway, so you guys can find Frogster. And also, you can find. I'll let AJ just promote himself because it was easier than me doing it for Frogster.
I mean, you can find me. I'm gonna be returning to Twitch soon, so you can find me underneath the name The Edge. Or if you want to tune in to some music, you can find me on TikTok at misfits.24.
And guys, obviously I am James Link. If you found me on YouTube, you've already found me. I am on James Link on actually James LNK, not James Link, on all of my platforms: Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. I don't really use Instagram, but you can find me there. Guys, thank you so much again for joining us.
That's been good.
It's been a pleasure having you here, and rambling at us, having a good little chat. Again, guys, if you did enjoy watching us or listening to us, I don't know if you're not watching us because I didn't secretly be filming these guys in their houses. He's like, wait a minute, I wasn't on camera for that.
Is on.
Just gonna have to put a cover up on Adge because he's knackered. But guys, thank you all for listening. I hope you really enjoyed the first episode. Again, we'll see you all hopefully in another podcast. I see Adge and Frogster may not be joining me next time because it's going to be different, but if you do want them back, let me know. If you don't want them back, let me know, because then I can tell them directly nobody wants you.
Nobody likes it. Right, well,
you guys got
thanks for
anything
having us.
else to add?
Goodbye, internet. No.
Cheers, buddy.
See you later.
Oh, wait.